The Indian market is a funny place, so what manufacturers can do is they can take a product, change the bodywork just a little bit, and then get people to believe it's an all-new segment. So you have cars like the Volkswagen Cross Polo, the Toyota Etios Cross, and the Fiat Aventura. Now they're based on their respective hatchbacks, but what people believe, or the manufacturers get people to believe, is that they are compact crossovers. Now, I really wouldn't call them compact crossovers, but that doesn't really matter because the idea works with the Indian mindset. And when the idea works, why not join the bandwagon? That's exactly what Hyundai are doing with this. This is the all-new i20 Active. Now what I like from the onset is that Hyundai are not calling this a compact crossover. They instead want to call it a sports style vehicle, which is fine by me. But it was important for Hyundai to make the Active look different from the Elite i20 without being too outlandish about it. So if you see the front, you have a taskbar up front and a skid plate, which is more aesthetic than functional, but it looks good because it merges with the bumper. You have new fog lights, which are of course now round. But the biggest difference is of course the headlamps, which get projector headlamps and cornering lamps. And the DRLs, which are missing in the Elite i20, well, you have them with the Active. Now when you look at the side, the first thing you'll notice is the height of the wheel wells has increased. So Hyundai have noticeably increased the suspension height, thereby also increasing the ground clearance, which now stands at 190 mm. So that's an increase by about 20 mm. You also have, of course, the roof rails, the cladding and the side skirt, which kind of goes with the whole rugged SUV-ish look. And of course the other changes are the fuel cap and these new diamond cut 16-inch alloys. Now the rear of the i20 again continues to be my favorite place. You have these fantastic 3-step LED tail lights, are one of the best design elements in this car. So they've understandably continued with them. You have the round fog lamps at the back as well, and of course the aesthetic skid plates. Now again, the whole design of this car is not very ostentatious. On the insides, the i20 Active looks identical to the Elite i20, but for one big difference. The Active gets quirky orange and blue trim colors, which kind of might appeal to a younger buyer. Other than that, why change it any further considering the Elite boasts of what probably were the best interiors in the segment? What it also boasted of is a slew of features which again find themselves all to be present in the Active as well. But there's more. The Active also benefits from automatic lights and cornering lamps. The i20 Active is the largest cross-style vehicle and has the most space on the insides. And this owing largely to the fact that the underlying hatchback is larger and more spacious than its counterparts. Well, if you do it right the first time, it saves you the hassle of redoing anything. Well, let's find out if the changes are just aesthetic in nature or the i20 Active actually drives differently than the Elite i20. There are no surprises under the hood as Hyundai continue with the existing engine options from the Elite i20. A 1.2-litre Kappa 2 petrol engine and a 1.4-litre U2 diesel. The petrol is mated to a 5-speed manual transmission while the diesel gets the 6-speed for better efficiency. And still, the i20, even in its Active avatar, hasn't been endowed with an automatic transmission option. Now, Hyundai claim that they've actually remapped both the petrol and the diesel engines to make both these engines more fun to drive, which is actually a concern with the Elite i20, at least with the petrol engine. Now what we're driving is the petrol i20 Active, and after driving the Elite i20 petrol, the 1.2-litre engine extensively, I can tell you the difference is really not that noticeable. Even the Hyundai claim they've remapped it. Now on the other hand, the diesel, the U2 1.4-litre CRDI engine, which has been carried forward from the Elite i20. But the changes on that are much more noticeable and significant. So you notice that there's lesser turbo lag, the engine is more peppy and responsive, even in the low range. And well, if you had to choose a car that was fun to drive, the 1.4-litre diesel engine should be your choice. In doing the Cross i20, Hyundai is also the only manufacturer to have raised the ground clearance of the underlying hatchback, which ought to resonate with customers. After all, if the Indian government would have called it an SUV for having a ground clearance of over 170 mm, can anyone begrudge the manufacturer? Of course, in the real world conditions, this only means that it is better equipped to handle our roads and our speed breakers at best, because an off-roader, it most certainly is not. The Elite i20's ride quality was exceptional to say the least. It was probably the best in its segment, but when you increase your suspension height and increase your ground clearance, what you're also doing essentially is that you're raising your center of gravity, which should logically and theoretically mean that it would alter your driving dynamics and your ride quality as well. But what Hyundai have also done is they've, along with raising the suspension, they've also altered the spring rate and of course a lot of components within the suspension system, which means that they've managed to retain most of their ride quality, the standard of their ride quality rather. There is a little bit of body roll, but it's not something that would put you off completely. So in a nutshell, what is the i20 Active? Well, it's a sports style vehicle based on the Elite i20 hatchback. It's got quirkier interiors, even more features than the Elite i20, which by the way is saying a lot. It's got engines that do the duty, but I really wish they would have gone the Polo GT TSI way and, I don't know, just thrown in the Werner's 1.6 litre petrol engine. That for me would have changed the game completely. Now, the Elite i20 has been a runaway success, and if you look at the i20 Active as just a higher variant of the i20 family, I see no reason why it cannot replicate the success of the Elite. But pricing is going to be key.